Welcome to The Core, where we're planting the seeds to financial success. I'm Colten Hibbs, Education Credit Union's Financial Health Coordinator, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. On each episode of The Core, we explore topics designed to enhance your financial knowledge and help you achieve your goals. And today, I'm joined with Marcus Glass, Education Credit Union's Chief Operations Officer. Glass is an Amarillo native and a business graduate of West Texas A&M University, and he has 24 years of experience in the financial services industry, primarily working in the banking space. Glass currently oversees operations at Education Credit Union, which includes payments, member support center, marketing, and our IT team. Glass has been married for 22 years and currently has 2 teenage sons in high school, which makes him an expert at our topic today, which is couple finances, red flags, and how to collaborate and build wealth together. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. First question. What are some common financial red flags that couples should watch out for early in a relationship, and how can they address these before the issues grow?
That's a great question that I wish somebody would have asked me at age 22, 23 as starting, my marriage and financial partnership with my spouse, who, when we were married, was much more financially savvy and independent than I was. So I brought the weakness to that. But I think it boils down to communication, not to drag in, divorce statistics. But if you look at the divorce rate in America, the two of the most common are lack of communication and financial stresses. And a lot of the times those financial stresses are due to lack of communication.
Absolutely.
So it's really establishing each other as a couple, or as your values and those things. But equally as important is those financial values. What are your goals? What are your savings goals? What are your budget goals? Are we looking at the future? What are our future investments? Are we going to, start a family? Are we going to buy a home? Are we going to buy a vehicle? What are those future financial, things that you're looking for, right?
Well, yeah. What financial expectations does a person have going into a relationship? Usually when we're in our early 20s and in 30s, even when you're partnering with somebody, it's sort of, you're trying to figure those things out for yourself and then trying to combine. And if somebody doesn't have maybe the answers to their own questions, things can get a little muddy.
Exactly. And you're coming from 2 different backgrounds, right? And so you have maybe 2 different ideologies. How do you marry that? Right?
Yes.
And then how do you come to that common agreement of, okay, this is our financial personality as a couple. So, emergency savings, is that an important to both of you? What is that miscellaneous spending or that frivolous spending? What's our
frivolous.
What can we just, is it that cup of coffee or is it that pair of shoes? What is that? But those conversations have to happen, right? At the foundation of that relationship.
One of the things that I say in almost every adult presentation that I do out in the community or WTRAC is you have to be comfortable talking about money. And that doesn't necessarily mean spreading your business out there, but you're eventually going to partner with somebody in life. Right. And again, how do they save? Do they themselves have an emergency savings? Do they see the value in it? Have they thought about retirement if they're 28 and don't have a retirement account like of some sort? Why not? Do they know the answer? And so having those conversations really early on, as you're getting to know them, are just as important as where do you like to eat? How do you like to spend your birthday? What do you want for holidays? That kind of stuff.
Exactly. And it's just identifying what's important to each person in that relationship, because most of the time they don't, automatically align one-to-one. So there's that compromise through that process. I've been married for, this is my 23rd year of marriage, I think. And it's still a compromise, right? Because, life happens, things change, right? So 23 years ago, it was the 2 of us. Now it's, we have a home and 2 teenage boys, and we're about to have one in college. And, we're spending more today on car insurance than we did our first mortgage. So it's that constant evolution of having that continual conversation and planning, because life happens.
Absolutely. So, and now, some people might take this to think that, well, when you get married, your finances are always combined and they're entirely together. And my general guidance is you should have personal financial goals. They should have their personal financial goals, and you should have shared goals. So how do people build wealth together but still navigate financial independence successfully?
That's a really good question too. So the thing that I lean on most, and this is just through the evolution of living it, is time is an asset. Right now, the baby boomers was the largest generation that we had. Well, now that's been taken over by the millennial generation, right? Yeah, there you go. So I'm in between, right? I'm Gen X. So but the millennials are my parents. The boomers, which are my parents, they're those that, they're the retirement age. So we see a lot of folks in that generation that are either ill prepared to have retirement savings, and they're continuing to work into their 70s because they have to, or it's those that, hey, they had that in their financial goals, or maybe that's what they were taught from their parents to, hey, start saving. And so here's 65 or 68, here's your retirement, and then you go do that. So, but it's now with the millennial generation, that's the largest generation, to where that's the group that we really need to tap into in regards to, okay, are you setting yourself up for long-term financial success? And there's no cookie cutter answer for that. Your success, your long-term financial success may be vastly different than mine.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to work until I'm 70, right? So I have a plan to where I'm going to hopefully retire at a much younger age than that. But I was fortunate enough to where straight out of college, I was working for an investment and an insurance firm, to where I was talking to baby boomers about investing in insurance and legacy planning and financial planning. So I had that nugget of wisdom just by occupation of, okay, I need to start saving now.
Yes.
And I'd see so many that are not. So they're really leveraging their future by spending today.
Absolutely. And I don't think and like you said, your proximity with where you worked and the people you associate with, that was what they were doing. So it sort of gave you that guidance. But if you don't have one of those careers that's sort of where it's financially focused, or where the people that are successful within those careers themselves are maybe as in the same financial place that you want to be, then it's hard to have that guidance for that random person out in the world until they seek it out. And that's what I love about what I do and about what Education Credit Union does, is that I get to go out there and talk to people about the importance of building even just an emergency savings. And then when I get to talk to those working adults about retirement. And my favorite question to ask, and I'm going to surprise you with this question. What is your definition of retirement? I ask this to every adult audience. So what is your definition of retirement? Because I think couples should ask themselves that question.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know. So obviously my parents are the boomer generation. So their definition is you roll up your sleeves, you work hard, and at a certain age, you live off your retirement income and whatever that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. I don't really know. I know I'm going to have to consume my time with something. So I still could be supplementing in working in other capacities. It may just not be in the professional sense that I am today.
Exactly. And that's what I love people to think about, is that sometimes people think, well, when I stop working, then I stop working. But retirement can look different, and you can still find fulfillment, joy, and purpose in doing something small, in leaning on your savings. And again, as a couple, that's so much more. You're so much more capable of doing that as a couple. You have this teammate who is going to assist you in accomplishing these financial goals. Now, there can be barriers to achieving financial goals, like some spending habits, or, maybe from the outside looking in, opposing financial goals. Like, well, I insist, our children go to this particular kind of school, and I believe that they should do this. So how do couples sort of successfully navigate different spending habits or opposing financial goals?
Well, so I'll just use my wife and I as an example. Basically we have the influence of how we're raised or how our families handled those scenarios, right? So her family was very blue collar, work hard, pay your bills, be very responsible with your funds. And like they didn't really take a whole lot of extravagant vacations or travel a whole lot. I don't think she had been on a plane until we were dating. Wow. And my parents were taking us on a trip. So my parents are really big into experiences. And I can tell you, there's tons of vacations that we took on various locations, and they were amazing. So it really depends on, your background and ideology and what you gravitate to in regards to how you want to, what does your lifestyle look like? How do you want to live, and what is most important to you? So I grew up with a value in experience.
I love that.
So, and we kind of have a hybrid model now, to where, we don't, we're not just have these extravagant vacations, but we do like to have those experiences with our kids, but at the same time, still navigating, hitting specific financial goals,
yes.
As we agreed to as a family. So let me put it this way. So if we're going to spend $3,000 on a vacation, right? So a weekly vacation to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Okay. So a family of four, $3,000 is probably a semi-accurate number, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would just take that same $3,000 and invest it over 30 years at a 5% rate of return. At 30 years, that's worth $12,000. Mm-hmm. So there's an opportunity cost there that you have to make a decision of, okay, is this experience worth that to me versus long-term being 4 times more than what I'm about to spend today?
Fantastic.
So, but at the same time, there's no right or wrong answer. It depends on the person and their goals and their values.
I love that. That's because in my mind, like, but you didn't go to the beach. Yes, you have $12,000, but you have no beach. So yeah, I love. So no, that's again, navigating those things successfully as a couple is what is key to a marriage success. And again, prioritizing and making sure. And I love that you work together. You married those things of like extravagant vacations, but also practical planning and goal setting. And you set the example, obviously, for your children. So much, I know you know this. So much of what we sort of bump into when it comes to financial education or financial wellness. Some people don't have as solid foundations to build on or observational experiences that are healthy to learn from. And so they grow up making choices that are not in their best interest because that's the only choice they've ever seen made. And so again, setting those examples of, creating a plan and striving towards a goal that is significant. I think that's so brilliant. Is there anything else couples wise that you would, this is something you should look out for. This is the most rewarding thing about us being so open and communicative about our finances.
I think the rewarding thing is just seeing the evolution in the fruit of the alignment in some ways. So my wife she's a giver. She loves to give gifts. She loves to host. And then in my mind, I'm like, all I see is dollar signs and extra, funds towards those things. So by default, I'm averse, but at the same time, there has to be that compromise, right? In some ways, my love language is spreadsheets. That is her kryptonite, right? So we have to have that healthy balance of I know to the penny where every dollar that we have is at, to where we don't meet daily. We meet as we have scheduled meetings weekly. Sometimes we don't meet each week, but it's just that cadence that. We're on the same page, right? There's no surprises.
Yes.
And if there's something that's outside the norm, then it's a conversation. It's not an ask for forgiveness instead of permission type thing. There's a combined.
That's not a path to success.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not a path to success.
No, when you said that, I just think that is so. It's incredibly insightful because, again, that constant communication, that what you've highlighted consistently. Money is one of those fundamental things that underpins every decision, whether or not to take a vacation today or driving across town or what we're having for dinner. Every decision we make has a price tag attached to it. And so being aware and communicating so effectively, I think is not only sets you up financially, but just again, as a couple, if you can talk about this fundamental thing in a healthy way, you can talk pretty much about anything in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Marcus, for your time today and your expertise. Your insights have been so valuable, and I know our listeners agree. And to our audience, thank you for joining us for this episode of The Core. You can find new episodes of The Core on the first Friday of every month on Amazon Music, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.